day 1141 of the Trump administration, leaving 243 days to go until the 2020 presidential election. As the nation grows increasingly anxious about the coronavirus outbreak, our president's focus is clearly on defending his administration and his fight to hold on to the White House. Fox News put on a town hall meeting for the president tonight, of all places in Joe Biden's hometown of Scranton, PA. More on that event later. The Trump White House is under fire and under pressure for its response to the coronavirus. Right now, the number of confirmed cases in the U.S. rising daily, and region by region, there are now well over 200 confirmed cases in this country. But remember, only 1,500 people have been tested. Financial markets remain rattled by the relentless spread. Today, the Dow lost about 970 points, largely erasing the big gains from earlier this week. Both chambers of Congress have now approved an $8.3 billion emergency spending package bill to help fight the virus. The president's expected to sign it tomorrow. At that presidential town hall on Fox News tonight, the very first question was about the White House handling of the virus.
At the outset of the coronavirus, your administration's response seemed to some as being confusing or minimizing. What plans are being considered on a federal level for the possibility of a long-term disruption?
Well, actually, we're I think, really given tremendous marks. One of the things I did is I closed down the borders to China and to other areas that are very badly affected. We have 149 cases as of this moment. This morning was 129. And I just see right now it's about 149 cases. It's going to all work out. Everybody has to be calm. It's all going to work out. We could have a very long-term plan. We hope that doesn't happen, but we have plans for every single possibility. And I think that's what we have to do. We hope it doesn't last too long.
And a quick reminder here, this was 7 days ago, a week ago today, when the president gave his prognosis for the coronavirus.
It's going to disappear. One day, it's like a miracle. It will disappear. And from our shores, it could get worse before it gets better. It could maybe go away. We'll see what happens.
Just tonight, he suggested a benefit of the virus is that people are no longer traveling, instead spending their money here in this country. Just 24 hours ago, Trump was asked about the World Health Organization's latest assessment of the coronavirus.
We have a report today, the global death rate at 3.4%, and a report that the Olympics could be delayed. Your reaction to that?
Well, I think the 3.4% is really a false number. Now, this is just my hunch, but based on a lot of conversations with a lot of people that do this. So if, we have thousands or hundreds of thousands of people that get better just by sitting around and even going to work.
His answer prompted this response from a key Trump ally in the U.S. Senate.
I listen to the scientists when it comes to the numbers, and I would encourage the president, if he's going to report things, to make sure that the science is behind what he's saying.
Trump tonight also talked about having to change up his playbook going into the 2020 election, adjusting his strategy following Joe Biden's Super Tuesday victories over Bernie Sanders and then Elizabeth Warren's dropping out of the race.
I was all set for Bernie because I thought it was going to happen. We get ready for things, right? So mentally, I'm all set for Bernie. Communist, I had everything down. He's a communist. I was all set. And then we have this crazy thing that happened, right? On Tuesday, Bernie would be tougher because he's got a base. I don't think I'm running against Bernie. I think it's going to be very hard for him to come back.
He, of course, stepped up his attacks on Joe Biden, vowing to make Hunter Biden's work in, wait for it, Ukraine, a major issue in the general election. Tonight, he appeared to suggest the impeachment investigation was ultimately more damaging to Biden than to him.
Do you think Biden is damaged? Do you think he's damaged?
I think that Biden has been damaged. Yeah, a lot of people. I saw a couple of statements, very strong statements by very respected people in your world, saying they aimed at Trump and they took Biden down. And really, that's what happened when you think, because you look at the son. Here's a guy, didn't have a job, was unfortunately, sadly, the military was a very sad experience for him. He goes out, he gets $3 million plus $183,000 a month to be a board member of a company that a lot of people said was corrupt.
And he had this to say when one Pennsylvania resident asked about dialing back the divisive rhetoric.
They hit us. We have to hit back. I feel that. Turning your cheek, but I wouldn't be sitting up here if I turned my cheek.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.